Hey there, entrepreneurs. My name is Sushant, and welcome to Trep Talks. This is the show where I interview successful e commerce entrepreneurs, business executives, and thought leaders, and ask them questions about their business story and also dive deep into some of the strategies and tactics that they have used to start and grow their businesses. And today I'm really excited to welcome Elina Furman to the show. Elina is the founder of a company called Kahlmi. Kahlmi is a baby wellness brand which creates baby massagers. And today I'm going to ask Elina a few questions about her entrepreneurial journey and some of the strategies and tactics that she has used to start and grow her business. So thank you so much for joining me today at Trip Talks, Elina. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk.
So can you share a little bit about your backstory and what motivated you to start this particular business? How did you get the idea?
Yeah. So I have been a longtime entrepreneur since I moved to the US as an immigrant from Kiev, Ukraine in 1980. And I was 7 years old. And when I graduated college, it was just always in my nature to try to come up with new business ideas and try to. So my first big experiment was becoming a published author, and I worked as a published author for many years. And then when I had my first child, I entered the baby industry, which I've been in for about 15 years now. And I learned pretty much every single player, every brand. I knew who everybody was. I consulted with a bunch of companies. I also came on um, as a CMO for a few brands, baby brands. But ultimately decided that I was going to take a sabbatical right before COVID hit, because I had been working kind of overtime, helping all the baby brands, raising my babies. It was all a lot. And so I just wanted to take a break. And then I got super bored after a year. It was just not in my nature um, to not work and not have a real driving mission. And I really was always passionate about products that helped with maternal wellness and neonatal wellness, because my son had colic when he was first born. I have two boys, but my first had colic, and we had a really hard time. So any baby product that really helped um, soothe baby and help mom during that fourth trimester was a winner in my book, because um, mom and baby are so interconnected during those early years. So when I started doing baby massage with my own son, because he had anxiety as he grew older, I realized, I wanted to create a product that I would have said to myself, I wish I had that when he was growing up. And I was looking back and I was thinking, why didn't anybody teach me about baby massage? It could have been so much help in terms of his colic, his development, his digestion, and then also my stress levels, because maternal health is really impacted by massage as well. And I just had no concept, and nobody had introduced it to me. And I really want to make sure that would never happen again, and that all parents would have that vital information and a tool with which they could do massage, or just the education they needed to do it with their hands.
So right now with your business, I guess you have a product that is kind of a massager for babies, but you're also, to me, it seems like you're also doing some sort of an educational content that would help parents with their babies.
Exactly. So my goal when I was prototyping is, when you're prototyping a product, it always takes 3 times as long and, 3 times the price that you think it's going to be. So while we were testing it and prototyping it, I wanted to build a community. So one of my special skills was building social communities and online networks for the brands that I had worked with. And I wanted to, by creating a social community, I could validate whether there was in fact a need for this type of information and whether people would be interested in massage content. And what I found was that, yes, it was a big yes. People were so interested in massage videos, education, even though I wasn't showing the product yet. I was doing demonstrations with my hands, and a lot of the videos were going viral. And in a year, I developed a following of 800,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. So I was, yeah, so it was a really strong organic showing of followers. And I knew that once I developed this following, it will be that much easier for me to introduce my product to them, because Kahlmi is just the first of a series of products that are going to be all targeted to helping parents massage and soothe their babies. And then the education piece, I am working on courses and an app that I'm going to be including as well in the whole business model. It's just that it's we're developing so many different products at the same time that I'm yeah, it's only so much of me to go around. But the educational piece is super important, because that's really the goal of the company, and the mission is to raise awareness around baby massage.
So to me, it seems like you basically built the audience before, of a very targeted audience of, people who are interested in baby related information. And then in terms of monetizing that audience, it could, I mean, sure, you came up with this massager product, but it could have very well been a massage oil
Yeah,
that
well, that's
that you could have
exactly
sold.
it. Exactly. So yeah, this is the Kahlmi. It's the baby massager, but I struggled and I started thinking, should I release the massage oil first? Should I release the courses first? Because everyone is interested in different things. Like, for instance, therapists and people who have kids who have sensory issues love the Kahlmi because it has vibrations and it's really instantly soothing, while other parents might not want the tech component and they might want just the oils. So yes, I think it's just, my whole thing is like build a space, validate the category, because there was no category with baby massage in the US market outside of baby massage oils, but no real education around that category. So I feel like I'm just like create it and then see what happens in terms of test out different products and see what's really hitting.
So, can you share a little bit more about? So, you said that you started creating content on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. That's where you build the audience. Was it really educational content that you were creating? Was it more of like, this is the research that shows that massages, these are the benefits for the baby for the massage and all these things, and it basically attracted all these different people?
Yeah,
Was that the approach? Yeah.
yeah, that was exactly the approach. I feel like with social media, you can either entertain, educate, or inspire. And I chose to, I don't know how entertaining I am, but I try to be. But it's more about education and inspiration. So I show the baby videos of babies being massaged. I then show a lot of studies and statistics that talks about all the research that has been done through the years about baby massage. So it's a real big mix of just really helping people understand that this is an ancient practice, but it's also very science-based. It's East meets West now, because we have a lot of tools and technology that can measure children's brains after they've been massaged. So we know that it mitigates pain receptors. We know what activity is going on in their brain. So we know it's a very effective form of therapy, preventative and also therapeutic. And it's important to share that information. And the more you share it, and people come from everywhere. I have people from all over the globe who are just very passionate about the content. And yeah, so the most interesting thing is figuring out how to convert them once you have them. Yeah.
That's a very, I think that's a really great approach that a lot of the new entrepreneurs should approach, rather than just building the product and then thinking about how I can market it.
Yeah.
In regards to the product itself, is it really just a massager? Like, is it really just you're kind of creating a different form function for a baby, but there's nothing. I mean, it's just any regular massager, but you know, but it's really you've created a different design and that suits a baby
Well,
baby's body. Or
it is a very, so yes, so they call this the Theragun for babies. There are 3 levels of vibration, and the key was I really studied the vibrations that that were going to be really effective, but still very gentle. So that was very important. You don't want to use Theragun on your baby. I've seen people do it, and it's just very dangerous. It's very intense. So I wanted to make sure that the gentle vibrations were baby safe and we're at a certain cycle. So we worked really hard to make sure it wasn't too light, too hard. Also the edible grade silicone, because babies are putting this in their mouth, because this is also becoming the first vibrating teether, which is very important for them because they have a lot of pain and inflammation in the gums. So they love to just put it in their mouth. So all those things and went into the design and consideration, and working alongside a few therapists and PTs and OTs and pediatricians. I wanted to make sure that as a certified infant massage instructor that I became that I wanted to make sure that babies would love it. These are called AcuNodes. So these are designed so you can get into the small spaces of babies' feet and their palms. So everything was designed with a specific anatomical scale that babies have. So yes, while it's not necessarily, it doesn't fly and it doesn't, it doesn't have all the, it's definitely geared and designed specifically with babies and children's needs in mind.
can you share a little bit about the product launch itself? So you already had this, this audience created. Were you, when you decided to create this product, were you in the process also were capturing email address already and just ramping up towards
Yes.
that launch? Were you kind of giving people previews of, this is the product that I'm creating? Can you share about a little bit about, from the time where you decided to have a product and what steps you took to launch it, and what was the reception when you launched it?
Yeah. So I decided that I wanted to do the product. I drew it out. I worked with a company and they created the design and the CAD and everything that I wanted it to look a certain way and be very premium. And while I was doing this, it was a year. So I started just with one video, and I bought a little massage doll baby, and I started doing a baby massage video, and I felt ridiculous, even though I worked with all these influencers. When you're doing your first video, you're like, nobody cares, nobody's ever going to watch it. So I put it up on TikTok, and the first one was whatever. After the 5th video, I started getting virality, and I started saying, oh, people are really interested in that. And then this was also at the time where TikTok was becoming very big and reels were becoming big on Instagram. So before, it was very hard to grow on Instagram outside of doing giveaways and other types of co-branded partnerships. But now all of a sudden, because they were competing with TikTok, reels, if you were creating reels, you all of a sudden you start growing really fast. And so everyone started jumping in on reels, but I wanted to also make sure that people knew about that I was a certified infant massage instructor. I was developing the first baby massager. So I kept everybody updated. I told them about the process. I said, here are the drawings. Here are what I've done so far. People were, a little bit surprised because it is such a new idea for so many people. Even though respiratory therapists always use vibration with babies who have coughs and colds, and they always do that, a lot of people aren't used to the idea of massaging baby with a vibrational device. So they were just a little confused. And I always assumed people would take time to really wrap their mind around something, especially if it's new and if it's for baby and they want to make sure it's safe. And so I would just introduce it. I didn't push it too hard because I think the most important thing is, when you're building a community, it's all about authenticity. It's all about building loyalty and trust. And so I wanted to be upfront that, I'm not here just to make videos all the time, and which I am, and I help everybody, and they write to me about all, and I'm like, I'm not a doctor. Everyone thinks I'm a doctor, a pediatrician. I'm like, no, I know certain things, but not others. But I was very honest and truthful that I am coming out with all these products, and I'd love for people to follow me and to try them out. And so, yeah, over time, I started introducing it more and more as I had more prototypes, and then I would show it how I used it with the babies. And it's really up to parents to decide whether they want to use just their hands or do both or one or the other. And
For a product,
website, I did launch a landing page to drive people to enter their email, bonus content for baby sleep massage guide, to encourage them to sign up for email before the launch, so I would have a nice, healthy subscriber base.
For a product like this, are there any regulatory issues that you have to get like this tested for safety, or because a product like this is, of course, you're using on a baby, so did you have to go through any such process where it had to be approved by certain authorities or regulatory bodies and so forth?
Yeah, well, in Europe, there's certain tests for any baby product. In the US, there's we went through the toy testing, which is much more rigorous, which we didn't need to as a voluntary test because this isn't classified as a toy. But I wanted to make sure that there were no loose parts. I wanted to make sure that if babies putting in their mouth, that there's no lead, that there's no loose parts, that everything would comply with all the basic toy testing in Canada and the US and Europe. So yeah, we underwent all of that.
Okay. In terms of manufacturing, is this item getting manufactured in Asia, in the US? Can you talk a little bit about your manufacturing processes? And what kind of investment did you make to create this product, to launch your business?
So we are manufacturing in China because you cannot manufacture any tech product unfortunately in the US right now. It is, the cost of manufacturing any tech product with silicone is just exorbitant in the US, unfortunately. But we are using all our factories are compliant in terms of their silicone being edible grade. And as far as investments, the biggest investment was the molds. So the molds were about, I want to say 60,000. Then you have your patents and your trademarks, and that was probably like 20,000. I think all in, once I developed the website, once I had my first purchase order for the first 1,000 units, and distribution in place, thinking what would the big other costs, PR, so probably 150 is just a safe number of all the different photography, video, branding, but yeah, 150. And I'm self-funded. I wanted to keep it that way for as long as possible.
So that is from an entrepreneurship or entrepreneur perspective, that is kind of a risk, right? Because you did not know when you launch if that money is going to be returned.
Exactly.
So that was pure risk. Like, what was your thought process? Like, you must
I
have
was
felt
freaking out.
some confidence to make that investment.
I struggled probably. So what's interesting about the whole process is that every step I took, in the beginning, I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going on this journey. I'm having this baby, and I had no idea. It's like having a baby. You have no idea what you're getting into. You don't know if anyone's going to like it. You don't know if anyone's going to believe in your vision. You're just a crazy human with all these ideas in your head, or on paper. And so, but every step I took, whether it was prototyping, whether it was deciding to drawing the design out on a piece of paper, and they featured my first design when I had my first article come out in Fast Company. They featured my little drawing. So and you look back and you're like, wow, like I was so scared and nervous because, I remember having to call my mom every day because she's my big supporter. And I would just be like, Mom, am I crazy? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is such a big risk. Because I always had service-based businesses, or I was a writer for a long time. And that's like just sweat equity. You're not really putting a lot of money on the line. And so, yeah, the idea of putting up money on the line was always scary in investing in my idea. But the more steps I took, I just said I was going to take 3 different steps every day to just push forward, because I just felt like I was walking through quicksand and I had no momentum because I had nothing going yet. And so over time, as the momentum built up, it just slowly and slowly, I became more and more confident. I saw parents, I talked to parents, doing all the focus groups, doing all the, getting my advisors and my pediatricians in place and having them try out the product and test it out. Every single step that I took along the way made me more confident. And that might not have been the case if people had said, look, we just, nobody likes the product, everyone's like sending it back or something. I would have just said, okay, we're just canceling the product. And then, but again, because I built out this whole platform of followers, I wasn't as particularly worried, because I said I will be able to pivot, because even if this product is not going to be the hole in one, then I have many other products and ideas that I really want to introduce around the same massage concept and space. So that kind of was my plan B. So I knew that if for some reason people just didn't take to the Kahlmi, which I'm so grateful that they have, I had other ideas. Yeah.
I mean, you have to be a marketer at heart if you are able to generate such a huge audience at the get-go. I mean, you're doing something right in terms of marketing. Uh, what kind of marketing are you doing right now to drive acquisition, and who is, because I mean, I see the price point is kind of $200 plus. Who is your
It's
target audience?
Yeah, it's 149 in Canada. Yeah, it's about 200. So it's expensive. It's a premium product, because having worked on a lot of different premium baby brands, it was important for me to, have something that would have really good margins, that would stand the test of time in terms of quality, and will be multifunctional, which the product is. But the question was, I just totally forgot your question.
Which marketing channels
Yeah, which
are you
marketing
still focusing completely on social media? Are you doing any paid
channel?
advertisements?
Yeah, so right now, so organic marketing is still always is at the heart of everything I do. But I have just we've only been shipping for 6 months total, and we just launched Facebook ads and Meta ads. So that's been very recent, because I wanted to make sure that the product was, because our first batch of 1,000 products, the battery was not where I wanted it to be. So we had to make a few changes. So I wanted to make sure not to launch. It was, do a soft launch, to make sure, to get all the feedback, to make sure everything was going well. So Facebook just launched about a month ago. Then we have email. So I'm working with someone who's really great, a contractor who is helping me with the emails and the flows and so on. I'm also doing a lot of earned media with PR. And so I've been able to, because part of this is building not only my community, but myself as a thought leader, and the the main thought leader in the baby massage space. So I'm, instead of sitting around worrying about my sales, which I do all the time, I'm really just focusing on what can I do to strengthen my social community, my subscriber base with email program, and also my authority as the founder and leader of baby massage and wanting to, and just the whole trend of baby massage. So I was able to get on a lot of TV shows. I have a book coming out in 2024 with mainstream publisher. And so I'm working on all these other things in tandem with building out the product line and just, testing out what's really going to be successful.
So it seems like there's a lot going on, or you're working on a lot of different things. What does your team look like? Or, do you have a team or?
So I had I was working with contractors for a long time, and I've always been a solopreneur type of person because I've been in certain partnerships and they're not easy. So I started working with a group, and this group was helmed by my current partner, and I did take on a partner. And he has two designers, Amazon people, fulfillment, and everyone who helps me create the new product. So if I say I want to create the new massage oil, we'll work together, and they'll help me find the suppliers, and then I say this is what I need it to look like, this is how I want it to be all organic. So it makes my life easier, because if I had all that sourcing and logistics and operational side on me on top of all the marketing side, so ultimately I wanted to have a life. So I said, I'd rather have less of my own company and work with someone I trust, because we worked for a year now. Because, one of the big things is work with your partner for a while before you partner up with them, because we worked for a year and a half and we had such a great relationship. We worked so well together. There's no pressure. Everybody was we're both we put pressure on ourselves, but we're not, I've had partnerships where it was just not great. So, you have to have the same working styles, and you have to have complementary skills. So it really helped me out. Now the team is comprised of my partner and all his support staff, which have been amazing in terms of helping me source, deal with logistics, fulfillment. I would not be able to figure out how to get everything on a pallet from China to the US, or it would just break me if I had to worry about that right now, on top of all the marketing and product development that I do.
Did since launch, the traction that you had expected, like, has the product been able to help you get that kind of traction, or was it, did it was it beyond your expectations, less than your expectations?
It was actually, it went above my expectations, because I'm always very, cynical. I always think nothing's going to work. And I know I'm supposed to be manifesting and thinking everything's going to be amazing all the time. And I do all of that. I try to do all my affirmations, but the truth is, you don't know. So I have been very pleased with the response. And what's most important to me is just seeing if people loved it. So when even when the first batch, there were some technical difficulties with the battery, as I mentioned, and people would write into me and they would say, oh, my Kahlmi broke. I don't know what I'm going to do without it. I can't, and I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll send you one like tomorrow in the mail, like no questions asked. Don't bother sending it back. Just like, I'm sending you the new one, just because feedback from customers, and I would get on the phone with my customers, and just that feedback of like, I need it today or tomorrow, made me realize that the people who got the Kahlmi really loved it. They understood. And so for me, that was the biggest sigh of relief. And when therapists, for instance, would come to me and say, I've started using this with my clients, and it's been so amazing for physical therapy, occupational therapy. And then another mom emailed me, and she was, I got on the phone with her. She was crying. We were both crying because her son had a stroke at birth. And his name is Ryder, and he was in therapy, and he was do every type of therapy, and he still couldn't use his right hand. So the first time he ever picked up an item with his right hand was when he went to reach for the Kahlmi. and she had saved up for it for so long. And I'm like, why didn't you just email me? I would have sent it to you, because that's another program I really want to stress, is that, we're really doing big discounts for special needs. And so I'm like, you should have just emailed me. I would have just sent it to you. And so that's been my whole thing, is just validate the product, be customer focused and centric, really focus on, get on the phone with the customers, answer every email personally, and really get to know what they need and their issues and how they are using it. And that's been the most successful thing for me. So I just think that's definitely gone beyond what I expected, because I thought people would like the product. I didn't think it could have such important therapeutic benefits outside of traditional massage therapy.
Okay. That's very interesting. Good to know. In terms of fulfillment and shipping, is that something that also your partner is helping you manage, or is that something
Yeah.
that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very fortunate, because I know I have a lot of friends we have a lot of support groups, and I have a lot of women e-commerce group owners, and we talk about how they are shipping out of their basement, or, everyone goes through that phase where you're shipping out of your basement, you're sealing boxes. I'm like, you know what? I'm turning 50. I have 2 older kids. I just don't feel like I have it in me to seal any boxes, like, I mean, just
Yeah.
completely being honest. Like, I do not want to seal a box. I don't want to wrap a package. Maybe if I was 25, before I had my children, I'd be like, I'd have my own facility in my apartment, like Sarah Blakely did with Spanx, but I just didn't have it in me. And so they do all the fulfillment, they do all the shipping. Yeah, and it's just such a big relief, because I really need to focus on the big vision and really figuring, and I've learned in life, because I have been through burnout before, is that when you try to do too much, you just end up burned out and not succeeding. And I really wanted to do it right, because after a certain age, if you're older founder, you don't have unlimited, it's not like you're going to invest in the next company. I mean, some people are like that, they fail fast, they go to the next thing. But I'm very much like, once I commit to something, I'm all in. And it's hard for me to move on all the time. And so I really wanted to commit to something that I really see being a sustainable business over time, that I would be able to grow with, and grow slowly and organically, rather than, raise all the money, get into an exit, plan right away, try to, have to be accountable to investors and scale so quickly. I really just wanted to enjoy the process, and build organically.
In terms of your future vision, let's say 3 to 5 years down the road, I'm assuming your focus really is to bring new products or introduce new products to this market. Um, I know you mentioned baby oil. Are there any other products in the pipeline?
Yeah, we have a lot of exciting products coming out, again, all around mindfulness, teaching mindfulness to for parents, mental health, wellness for kids and families. So we have the baby massage oils that are going to be coming out, and again, they're all organic. We have instructional cards that are going to be coming out. So if if you don't want to use the Kahlmi, you could use the Kahlmi with the cards, but it just, some people are just very purist, and they just want the instructions without necessarily the tech device. So for them, they'll have the cards. And we have some clothing coming out that's going to help guide the massage. So it's just, we're really creating a complete product collection. And then it's also about distribution. We want to start distributing through the special needs markets, because there's many different, we don't want to necessarily get medical, it's not an FDA type of route, but I do want to make sure that I'm able to reach a lot of therapists and wellness practitioners because there's such a emphasis now on holistic methods. And so I think more and more people are going to cranial sacral therapy and baby masseuse, and, they're lactation consultants, and they're all interested in this technology. So I just want to be able to continue bring out products that and explore different distribution channels outside of traditional direct to consumer and outside of wholesale, because wholesale, honestly, I'm not running to wholesale yet. I'm really trying to kind of prove the model, figure out my product breakdown, and then once that happens and I have different products in all categories, I'll be able to start thinking about wholesale.
Okay. In every entrepreneur's journey, there's always lessons learned, mistakes made, failures. With this business, since you've started, what has been kind of like a big mistake that you have regretted, or a lesson that you've learned through a failure that occurred, and what did you learn? What can other entrepreneurs learn from your mistakes?
I kind of foresaw all the mistakes I was going to make, and I made them deliberately in a way. Like, I knew that the first product, the first MVP, minimally viable product, might have some issues, tech issues. Any tech product usually does. And so I knew that might happen, and it did. And so I dealt with it by just really doubling down on customer service, making sure everyone had a replacement unit, giving people bonuses, and really reaching out, making sure they knew I was there for them. And also the expenses of running a business. I mean, have I spent, I always try to be super lean. I did spend a little more designing the product initially, because we had to then redesign it with my current group. Because while you design a product on paper, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to produce it. And so when you're going to an agency who is designing your product, you have to almost be designing it with the factory together. So that is the biggest thing I've learned. Like, don't design in a silo. Like, even if you have a great design firm and everyone has ideas, when it comes to actually producing that product, you really have to make sure you're designing for manufacturability and design aesthetics and so on, and they're all working together. So I would just say, do that all at the same time. Work with the factory and an industrial designer at the same time. And you don't have to work with a big agency. You could work with contractors or freelancers. So there could have been money I've saved here and there. I don't regret anything, because I think every step of the way I learned what I liked about the different things, and who I wanted to work with, and it led to my partnership with my current partner. So I'm very happy about that. And as far as, I wouldn't do anything differently yet. I mean, ask me in a year. I'm sure I'll be making plenty of mistakes. But I think it's all part of the journey.
Awesome. By the way, when you went to your manufacturer, I'm sure the manufacturer had expertise in creating like these kind of vibrating devices. Is that
When they had, I'm sorry,
expertise in creating these kind of
I went through a factory that was familiar with creating massage, had different massage technology, but they had to create literally, all the molds were different. They had to figure out how to make the whole unit vibrate, because it's such a thin neck, because I designed this neck to be extra thin so baby can hold it. So it was very hard to get a motor and the right distribution of vibration through the unit. So there's all these things that you never even think about when you're designing a product. And then as you do, you realize, okay, and weight, and like, is it going to be ergonomic for mom to hold, and so on. So it's just like just coming up with the idea, and then hoping, and then playing with all the different prototypes and seeing what's going to really stick.
Awesome. Now we're going to move on to our rapid fire segment. In this segment, I'm going to ask you a few quick questions, and you have to answer them maybe in a word or a sentence or so. So one book recommendation for entrepreneurs, and why?
Lean Startup. I mean, I've read pieces of it here and there, but I feel like I knew all of it, because I've always, as an immigrant, you're always lean, you're always saving money. Like, you never want to put the horse before the cart, but it just teaches you how to mitigate your risks and stay as lean as possible for as long as possible.
An innovative product or idea in the current e-commerce, retail, or tech landscape that you feel excited about?
Oh my gosh, there's so many amazing products on the market that I'm excited about. Well, I just think like in the baby space, because that's where I am always, it's I love the Duna. The Duna is a stroller that converts to a car seat, because that was always a big pain point, because I carrying the car seat, I was like, I'm not going to be doing that. So having, when someone came up with that idea, I was like, of course, that's genius. And that's such a great idea. And some other products that I love are there's a baby warming company, a bottle warming company where they warm the bottle, and you can it's portable. And so there's so many different products out on the market. And then there's another company I used to work with called Binksy Baby, where it's a shopping cart hammock, and you put it on any grocery store cart, and the baby just lies down. So it's just, that's just innovation. That's a mom coming up with an idea and, you know, making millions from it. And you know, I've been through a lot with all these mom entrepreneurs and inventors and founders, and I see everything they do and how hard they work to protect their product, and then all the copycats that try to steal their products. So I'm, you know, I just like to make sure to support the originals, and always be there, and you know, try to, as much as possible, support the original companies, because you know, when it comes to baby safety, the copycats don't go through all the rigorous testing.
Definitely. I mean, that's a big issue. A business or productivity tool or software that you would recommend, or a productivity tip?
Oh, right now I'm using a few things. So Prodport is a new platform where they can create different product pages and test it to see which convert better. So a lot of
Hmm.
times, you know, everyone's always like, oh, we have to A/B test the whole funnel. We don't know what's happening. We have to heat map the whole site. So what Prodport is able to do is, on the back end, they create 6 different versions of your product page. So you don't even have to do anything. Then they test it out and they see which converts the best. And then that's the page they're serving. So I love that. I think they're doing an amazing job, and they just raised all this money. So good for them.
Is that for, are you using Shopify as your e-commerce
Yeah,
platform, or?
Shopify. They can integrate with different platforms.
Okay. Um, a peer entrepreneur or business person whom you look up to, or someone who inspires you?
Yeah, I think everybody loves Sarah Blakely because she's fun, and
Mhm.
I feel like she just hustled. She created a new category and she believed in it. And I think she's just done such an amazing brand of job of making her brand fun and accessible and authentic for women. And I think that's why she's been around for so long, just because she has just such a joie de vivre, like just such a energy about her, and a relatability. So yeah, Sarah Blakely is definitely, the Spanx story is very inspiring.
Awesome. And final question, best business advice you ever received or you would give to other entrepreneurs?
Best business advice is I would just say just start. Yeah, always just start, because when you're starting in a vacuum, it's like a big black hole and there's nothing happening and you have no wind at your back. It's just like you're just standing, like sitting in a in a big hole or in the middle of water, and then like slowly as you gain momentum, if even if you do 2 things every day or 3 things, or talk to 3 people about your business, it's just going to be it's going to solidify as a concept, one, and two, it's just going to give you more and more confidence or information, whether it's I'm going to do this business or I'm not going to do this business. So just start and do 3 things every day, and then if you see that it's growing and really leading to something, continue. If it's not, abort mission and see, because there's always something else. Maybe it's not your calling, so don't commit like to the point where you're blindsided by any other things, but also don't leave don't bow out too early until you've really given it a fair shot. but just do a little bit every day, and then the compound interest will grow, and you'll see that it's going to, something is being built, even though it feels like it's taking forever.
Yeah, that's a great advice. I think sometimes, you can also start with an idea which does not have any traction, and then you realize that there's something that you can pivot to, an alternate form of
Or
that idea that has a
yeah,
better.
you could start with that idea, and then all of a sudden it pivots to something else, and you just never know where you're going to end up. But just keep going in any direction. Just action is the antidote. Action is the antidote to uncertainty, fear, and panic, which every founder lives with every day.
Definitely. Well, Elina, thank you so much for your time today, for sharing your story, for sharing, how you started and grew your business. So thank you again for your time, and really, really appreciate you joining me today at Trip Talks.
It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.